Did Disney miss a huge opportunity, one of the biggest in Star Wars history? So imagine with me episode 9 kicking off with Leia's passing. You've got Kylo Ren emotionally wrecked. You have Rey, Poe, Finn, Rose leading a devastated resistance while finally learning to stand on their own 2 feet. As the DCU is experiencing a reboot with the release of James Gunn's Superman, don't worry, we have a lot to say about that. We can't help but wonder if Star Wars missed a massive opportunity sparked by the death of Carrie Fisher. We'll look at it together. This is Tatooine Sons.
Welcome to Tatooine Sons, a Star Wars podcast, the only fan podcast to name a canon Star Wars creature and to be endorsed by the writer and director of The Last Jedi, Rian Johnson. Get ready to celebrate a galaxy far, far away across the generations. Here are your hosts, David, the Bowtie Jedi Guy, Samuel the Hutt, and BB Nate.
Welcome, Star Wars fans. This is Tatooine Sons, your weekly look into all things Star Wars from the unique perspective of a father sharing his love for the amazing space fantasy saga with his 2 sons. I am BB Nate, and I am joined first by my brother, Samuel the Hutt.
True to Star Wars fans, and if you're not a Star Wars fan, don't worry, you are eating good at the movies this summer.
Amen
I'll tell you
that.
what.
Amen.
It's been a great few weeks.
It's been one of the greatest all-time blockbuster summers, I feel like, in a lot of ways.
It's been a lot.
And we still got more to come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be fantastic. But, and of course, you can't have Star Wars without bizarre father figures. So on that note, here's my dad, the Bowtie Jedi Guy.
We are primarily a Star Wars podcast now.
Yeah.
Again, right? It's poetry. It rhymes.
Yeah.
Right. But I have a feeling that our movie segment may be longer than our Star Wars.
Probably. And
yeah.
our Star Wars segment will also probably include some of the movie segments. So
It might. I have no idea where that conversation will go with it. But yeah, very excited to have another monthly conversation with the Tatooine Sons. What's been going on in your guys' amazing worlds? Nathan, you're having a good weekend.
Yeah, it's been fun. My girlfriend's back in town for a few days, about 5 days from her work. She's been gone for the summer, so I've been hanging with her. Got to see Superman, which she really liked, rightfully so. It was a very good movie, but yeah, it's been a lot of fun. So
that's awesome. Sam, what's been going on in your world?
It's boring now. I'm an adult. I mean, I don't know. It's not all bad. I tried to go to the beach a couple weeks ago. It got rained out, which bummed me out. So to make myself feel better, I went to Target and got the giant Lego DeLorean and watched all the Back to the Futures and built that. So, I mean, I may be an adult with adult money, but I still, spend it on childish
that's
things.
The beauty of
but
being
that's part of the fun,
a single
right?
adult.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, I'm gonna enjoy it for as long as I can. So
that's cool. Yeah, for me, it's been just one of those crazy whirlwind weeks with work. Right, I spent 3 days driving to Mississippi and back. And doing work while I was over there. And there was actually a point late last night where I thought I was going to be going to Mississippi again today.
Yeah.
Fortunately, didn't have to do that. Yeah, it's going to, once things get into a rhythm with what I'm doing with work right now, it'll probably be 2-3 days of that a week of being hopefully closer to home, but being a little bit out of pocket for that time, but also having more flexibility the rest of the week. So yeah, that'll be good. I'm excited. But today, it's a really kind of interesting moment. We teased it in the opening to this, but we're going to talk a lot about the Superman movie that came out and the reboot of the DCU and how that worked. It's a huge moment for that franchise
swing too.
And it either was going to work or it was going to fail miserably and be the death of DCU in the cinema. With it
was a gamble.
And we'll talk about what we think about that. But it's, that, and also a really interesting video. I saw a YouTube video by Heavy Spoilers a few weeks back, a couple weeks ago, where he was looking at, he called it the death spiral of nostalgia bait. And he was talking about Star Wars and Marvel and franchises like that and how this obsession with nostalgia, both from a studio perspective and a fan perspective, has kept certain franchises down. And actually, once you get into that death spiral, it's hard to get out of it with nostalgia.
It really is.
And it had me thinking really seriously about Star Wars and how an idea that we had all the way back in the time period between The Last Jedi and Episode 9, we had an idea of how
many years ago is that now?
Well, it was 2017, December 2017 was The Last Jedi.
Mm-hmm. It was 2019 for Rise.
So that was a 2-year period.
Wow.
So all the way back during that period, we had an idea how we thought it would be cool for Star Wars, Lucasfilm, Disney to have handled the death of Carrie Fisher. And that got me thinking about what could that implication have played forward in the story, and could that have actually been a really effective soft reboot of Star Wars with it. And so we're gonna talk a little bit about that, but we've got lots of other things, and if we're already going to talk about nostalgia, we might as well talk about that Coca-Cola Star Wars commercial that came out.
That plays before movies and AMC.
It did. It played it before the movie.
Well, it was the company commercial. Like they're releasing a bunch of like actual Coke.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Them, right?
But enough talking about what we're going to talk about. Let's talk about what we're talking about.
This is where the fun begins.
All right, guys. So we got this Coca-Cola and Star Wars team up moment. It's like an Avengers or...
Well, they did this
they literally
Marvel.
did Avengers last year.
Okay, so we'll talk a little bit about that. When I was a kid, Coke was just Coke. You just drank Coke bottles, and now we've got these massive... And I guess they've been doing collector's versions of
They
these.
have, for a while.
I think your grandparents, your mom's parents had a ton of these at one point.
Really? Okay.
Of different
I know we had like...
They had like the Christmas bottles.
Broncos.
Yeah, that's what I'm
we
talking
had Broncos
about. We did have some of those
at one point.
For you. What's your first memory of Star Wars and Coca-Cola connecting? Do you guys have any like memory of that at all?
I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is like the fancy bottles they've got at Galaxy's Edge.
Okay.
Yeah, kind of that area. I feel like there is
I've
something
never
a while ago, but I
associated
don't
the
think
two.
I know. I've never associated the two.
Yeah.
Okay. And so it's cool. So they did this. They're doing this collaboration. These are limited edition. I can't get my words out today. Limited edition. You can write this stuff, but you can't say it. Limited edition cans and bottles. Where you collect them, and they have augmented reality built into them, and all of this kind of stuff. So when you think about like Star Wars collectibles, especially like these Coke bottles, what would you do? I'll start with you, Sam. Is this open and drink these bottles or these cans, and then just hold the receptacle on a shelf or something like that? Use it for the augmented reality, or is this never open them at all? What's your first thought?
I mean, I think it's Coke cans, so you can probably get enough to do both. Around like drink them.
I think it's like 30 of them, and some of them you can only get at Disney World or Disneyland.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool. I don't know. I would try to keep them like sealed, but I don't know if over time it'll like eat through the aluminum and like start leaking everywhere. I don't
It does that to your gut.
Right. Yeah, so I'll put it in my body instead. No, I don't know. That may not even be an issue. But I'm just like, I think I've heard of that happening.
Yeah, if you do keep it sealed, just don't leave it on a windowsill in the sun. That comes from past experience.
What happened? I'm trying to remember this.
So when Marvel did the collab with Coke last
you
year,
got Daredevil.
I got
Daredevil.
and I never opened it. And then when I was moving rooms, all of my stuff was in your room, Dad. And so the Coke can sat on the windowsill for probably a couple weeks at that point because we were just getting things out. Sam was moving out. I was moving into his old room because it was bigger, like all that stuff. And so I go into the room to get all the stuff, and that's pretty much the last thing I grabbed because I grabbed everything off the floor first, and I pick it up, and there's a puddle of Coke on the floor, and I'm like, dang it, how did this happen? And I'm looking around, and I don't see a hole.
Yeah, it
I don't see any hole. But it feels like it's ready to explode. So the sun expanded it,
cooking it
and so
inside.
I was holding it, and then I decided a great idea right now is to shake it.
What were you thinking?
I was hoping that it would excite the liquid in it enough.
Yeah, it
for
excited it, I'm
to
sure.
spew out of whatever hole was there that was not visible. And no, it worked. It did not explode, but it started. There was the tiniest little pinhole that opened from the sun in the side of it, and it started shooting out like a tiny stream. And so I was holding it as the stream was coming out. And I had to be holding it for about 2 minutes before I noticed the stream. And then I started seeing wet stuff on the wall. And I was like, what's going on? And then I look, I'm like, oh, there's a spider web on it? Because it looked like a spider web.
Thin.
And it was the Coke stream. And I was like,
so you have a sealed can. It's just empty.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool,
That's kinda
actually.
No, actually, I did have to open it to
that
get all of the
sucks.
liquid out. Because, I'd have to have that
That's
in
crazy.
but so just don't leave it in a windowsill if you do get a can of Star Wars Coke and keep it sealed.
So it's a really cool. There was like a 2.5 minute version of the video.
There's a longer version.
I've seen it. Yeah,
2.5. It is so much fun to watch.
The one we saw was fun.
It grabbed my attention immediately. And it's been shared a couple of times on the Star Wars Dads community that we're launching. I'll talk about that a little bit later. Because it opens with the dad and their son. Dad's dressed like Darth Vader, son's dressed like a Jedi. They're going to a movie, a Star Wars movie, a showing of A New Hope.
Yeah.
In a movie theater. And the whole place is packed with it. It's so cool. There's one of the dads in our community is the one that actually built, he's in the Droid Builders group. He's the one that actually built the K2SO.
For that video.
That's in that.
That's in it.
Cool.
That's his K2SO.
That's so cool.
That's in it. And I've seen it. We're actually going to have a session on our community where he talks about droid building and how to do it and get started in it and that kind of stuff. But,
that's awesome.
But they really, the campaign slogan or whatever, the theme of it is refreshing your galaxy. What does that even mean to you?
Do they know what refreshing means in Star Wars?
Well, that's what I'm wondering. I'm wondering if they're thinking...
That's a toilet.
That's a toilet. A
refresher.
Is a toilet.
Oh, okay. No, I mean...
So that's a little bit of a...
No, I never got... That's
I never would have thought that. I
That's
never
where
would have
my
thought that.
mind went to, but
I get where Dad's about to go with this.
Well, is this just marketing speak, like, Coke
or
talking about
trying
refreshing,
to go back to...
or does it actually, resonate with the idea of Star Wars maybe kind of having a fresh start, rebooting, getting back to some of that? I mean, this nostalgia thing that we're going to be talking about a little bit.
I think it needs to, but I do think it needs to get back to where we were and just getting back to being okay with bringing in a new generation of the fans. We need to. I'll talk more about it with Superman because I think that it was a really big deal that will help with Star Wars. But I think that there's a lot that needs to be said about. It's been 6 years since we've had a Star Wars movie in theaters. We're dealing a lot with the fallout of kind of how that's affecting Star Wars. You can have as many TV shows as you want. You can have as many games as you want, even though we've had a very kind of small amount of games, good games at least. But Star Wars lives in the cinema, and it should always live in the cinema. And so the fact that we have not gotten a Star Wars movie in a while is not great. I mean, Force Awakens came out in 2014? 2015?
Yeah.
About 10 years post Revenge of the Sith.
10 years from Revenge.
And we're at 6 years past, and we're getting another movie. We're getting Mandalorian Grogu next year, so that's 7 years. But that's pretty close to the gap of Revenge of the Sith and Force Awakens, which is crazy to think about. We've waited that long since the last Star Wars movie.
Well, and
granted, we've had more content.
We didn't expect to wait that long.
Yeah,
That's
we
true.
were always hoping we would continuously get more Star Wars content in the theater, but we haven't.
Well, we were
of
supposed
course,
to have gotten a new Star Wars 2 years ago.
Yeah, and I know that there's been issues with, COVID and then writers' strikes and actors' strikes and everything that's been going on there. But it really needs to come down to the fact that Star Wars needs to live in the cinema. And so that's what we need to be going back to. And that's what I think this video showed, even from the short version. This is playing before movies now, at least in AMC.
Mm-hmm.
It's showing how Star Wars lives in the theater, and it needs to be back.
I mean, this summer alone is proof that people want to go to the movies. They want to go to the theater.
Heck, Jurassic World Rebirth, which
$341 million on opening.
I mean, come on.
On a 5-day weekend.
Still,
Yes.
people want to go to the movies. They want to be in the theater. Put Star Wars back in its home turf.
I'd agree.
I agree.
So they're using in these Coke bottles, cans, and all that. They're using AR to let fans share uplifting messages like Star Wars holograms, like Leia. Is the way that works.
That's cool.
It. So you like that? Is it cool?
Yeah, it's cool enough. I mean, it's fun to have it. It's a novelty thing that you'll do once and be
I've
like,
seen that before.
That's cool. And then you'll want to collect more because it's like, oh, that's a Star Wars character. Yeah, I'll grab a Coke. And I know that's exactly what they're hoping for. You'll be
see
like,
it, you thought, well,
you'll be in a gas station.
Exactly what they did with the Coke bottle name thing. I mean, you only grab it because it's either your name or someone you know's name.
Yeah. You would buy it for a friend of yours if you saw their name.
You're going to be on a road trip and you'll be like, oh, there's a Star Wars character on that. I could go for a Coke. And then you'll just grab it. So, like, that'll be the point. And they do it with all their flavors, too. Coke Zero.
We'll talk about that, though, because there's interesting. They're doing one thing that I think may be actually
they have, like,
intentional.
cherry Coke Star Wars ones?
All the dark side characters on the Coke Zero one?
I'll explain. But we'll do that in a second. They've got lots of different characters in this. I mean, they got like old school Lando.
Do they have droids
with Ahsoka? And yeah, they have droids on this. What's the one character,
Ezra.
If you saw that bottle in Circle K, you see that character on there, you're grabbing it. Like with Marvel, it was Daredevil.
Yeah.
Right.
No doubt.
What would you, Nathan, what would you go with?
Ezra Bridger. No doubt. If I see Ezra Bridger on there, I'm picking it up.
Which version? The Rebel show or the live action?
Either, probably.
Either. Doesn't matter. No, either is good.
Ezra's Ezra. What about you, Sam?
Turvis.
Turvis? That would be cool.
That would be happened. Yeah. No,
Boba
I mean,
Fett.
it's Boba Fett. Yeah. As long as the art's cool. It's got to be cool art of Boba Fett.
Okay. Book of Boba Fett, or Empire Boba Fett?
As long as he's got the helmet on and looks cool.
Holiday special Boba Fett.
Hey, Holiday special Boba Fett's
Holiday
cool.
special Boba Fett's cool. What about like proto Boba Fett? Ooh, white version.
I said Boba Fett. As long as he's wearing the helmet and looks cool, I don't care.
Yeah, I
nothing
mean,
against Tamara Morrison.
So Clone Troopers are good too.
No, that's not Boba Fett.
I wonder. I haven't really gotten into like seeing exactly which characterizations they have, but I wonder if they do Obi-Wan Kenobi, if they do the Ewan version, or they do the old man.
They may do both.
They might
do all of them
with that.
You may have said, when does this like happen?
It's already out. People are getting their
cans and bottles are out.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're like, let's stop the recording. Let's go
going
get a
to
bottle.
Circle K.
With that, Darth Vader is on the zero sugar cans.
That makes sense.
Is
that just Darth
like,
Vader?
I don't know of anybody else, but what do you guys think about that?
Makes
like,
sense. It's
no sugar. There's no sweetness in it whatsoever.
Well, I think it's also
the Coke Zero line is just all black.
The labels are typically dark. Yeah,
that helps. I wonder what cherry Coke is going to be.
Jar Jar,
the Purgles.
Okay,
might as well. People are going to get these Star Wars Coke cans and put them in their droid carrier drink coolers that they got from episode 1.
I think a buddy of mine actually
you have to tell
said
him
he was going to do that.
Yes,
so
you have to.
I had a friend who doing the same thing I do, is using his adult money for
dumb things,
stupid things.
Yeah.
He bought one of those coolers, the droid carrier coolers from episode 1 off of eBay. Spent like I don't even know how much because they don't make them anymore. They're expensive. And I think he talked about wanting to like put the like Star Wars Coke cans in it. I'm like, you need help.
No,
I can't.
Awesome.
I can't judge.
He's an honorary,
and they came with the lids too.
He's going to be an honorary Tatooine Sons before the end.
Yeah, the little heads.
That's cool. So this partnership with Disney goes all the way back to the beginning of Disneyland. It. And there's so much nostalgia that's tied to both. We talked about that a couple of times ago when we talked about Epic versus Disney and nostalgia and that kind of stuff. With that, do you think that this kind of campaign around nostalgia is good for Star Wars? Do you think it can help grab people, bring them back in, kind of change their thinking about it?
I don't
know.
I think it's just another collector's thing that they're going to do. I mean, they did it with Marvel and it was fine. I don't know how successful these campaigns are.
No, they're successful.
They are?
Yeah.
Okay. To me, I mean, both the Marvel one and the Star Wars one are it's just kind of gimmicky to me. I don't have a problem with them.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to make me really want to get a can more. Like, I saw Iron Man Coke bottles when that was happening and it never made me like choose a Coke over like something else I wanted to drink, and Iron Man's my dude. I love Iron Man. So I don't understand like quite how effective it is, but I'm sure for certain people like collectors, they're going to want to get it. And so it's fun. It's not hurting anything. I don't think it's going to hurt Star Wars to do this.
I do think it's interesting that the more we've talked about it, the more interested I am, and like we joked about it, go into Circle K as soon as possible and finding some
if I see
Coca.
a Boba Fett one, I'll I might grab one for tonight when I'm just hanging out playing a game or something, and I'll have a Coke, But had we not talked about this, it wouldn't have even been on my mind at all.
That's interesting.
So,
all right, so let's predict what's the next big franchise
DC
that Coca-Cola will team up with. It can't. I don't think. Marvel's Disney.
Yeah.
Star Wars is Disney.
No, Coke
That's a good
partners
point.
with Disney. But Coke also partners with Universal. So
True.
could be anybody Universal.
I'm trying to think
Odyssey.
if there's any.
Yeah, they're going to do Christopher Nolan's
Do
Odyssey. Yeah.
We're gonna have like just mythological
Yeah,
Greek
They're going to have
gods
the
on there.
giant
That'd
naked
be kinda
goblin
cool.
on there. Yeah.
that's funny. All right. Well, we'll have to see what
We
happens
will.
with that. Just when you thought that Coca-Cola and Star Wars were refreshing our galaxy, bringing in a new era for us, Disney Plus pulls a Jedi mind trek and cuts 3 highly anticipated shows.
No.
So we're going to dive into the disappointment of this, see if the force is still strong with our favorite franchises on Bad News.
Mm.
Well, you want the bad news or the really bad news?
So, Inside the Magic released this
Our
article
favorite.
yesterday.
Okay.
According to the day we recorded this, we can't see into the future.
When you're listening to this.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, the headline of it is Disney Plus cuts 3 shows.
Wow.
Marvel and Star Wars.
Did Ironheart perform that bad?
Disappointed. No,
it didn't actually. It really
it
performed
performed
well.
really, really well. So they've got this new sizzle reel that Disney Plus just dropped, and it's hyping a bunch of cool stuff coming.
Wonder Man looks cool. I'm excited for it.
But there were shows in there that weren't included with it.
Oh, no.
Marvel Zombies, Eyes of Wakanda were not included in that.
Forgot about that.
And Visions Volume 3 are not.
No, they cut
included.
Eyes of Wakanda, even though they released a trailer attached to Ivory Ironheart episode. That's crazy.
Yeah. So, what do you think about this? Is there a disturbance in the force? Are these MIA? Are they just out
They're
grabbing
just-
some more blue milk? What?
No, I think it was just a sizzle reel for a sizzle reel. I mean, you got to think also, all 3 of those that you mentioned are animated shows. I don't think this sizzle reel had any other animated shows on it. It was all live action from my knowledge. So that could just be they were showing their live action slate coming up, because Marvel Zombies itself has no reason to be on that sizzle reel. Animated
be
and MA.
Yeah.
Eyes of Wakanda animated anthology series that has already gotten its own trailer like a week or 2 ago. Visions is niche, but it's also animated, and it's not going to be on a sizzle reel like that, live action. So they're still in production. They've confirmed them. They're done with all of them. Like, people need to calm down.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a whole lot of noise. I mean, they're slow news. I mean,
Slow news for sure. Yeah.
yeah. Well, okay, I shouldn't have said that because there's a lot of news to talk about right now with movies and stuff. But yeah, I think it's just they're grasping at straws for something with that. There's nothing there. I'm looking forward to Visions season 3.
One of those monkey bots.
Because we're getting a follow-up to Ninth Jedi, right?
Yes.
In that season?
Aren't we getting a follow-up series to Ninth Jedi?
Well, we're getting a follow-up episode to The Ninth Jedi and The Village Bride, and then we're getting a whole new series
for the Ninth
Jedi.
Which they animated that animated sequence in Kill Bill.
Kill Bill,
which was
that's
fun
right.
to
Yeah.
watch that and notice that the Ninth Jedi people animated the
that's
animated
interesting.
sequence in Kill Bill.
So they are, one thing that wasn't included, Marvel Zombies, is, you guys brought it up, it's TVMA.
Mhm.
It's supposed
Yeah.
to be coming out this October. Do you think
good
that
time.
one of the big reasons they're not promoting that within a sizzle reel is because they do want to protect like younglings from getting excited
Yeah,
about this,
absolutely.
knowing about it, letting parents be.
Yeah,
Well-
I mean, yeah.
I mean, you got to think about this. If, say, a 12-year-old kid is watching this sizzle reel for some reason, I don't know very many 12-year-olds that watch sizzle reels, but anyway, and they see a new Marvel project already could be pretty exciting, and then zombies. I mean, kids love zombies; they're cool. Like certain
Kinds.
depictions of them, right? Of course, that kid's gonna be interested in watching it, and then it's gonna be. Shoot, why am I forgetting the guy who like created it. He was Walking Dead, Invincible.
Robert Kirkman?
Yeah, it's going to be Robert Kirkman zombies, so it's going to be gory and violent.
Yeah.
That's just not something that kids need to see.
No. I think if you're going to see it, you're going to find out about it and you're going to want to watch it if you're of age. I don't think that they really need to promote it much. It's an animated show. It's Marvel Zombies. It's based off of the What If episode. Like,
yeah, it's not going to have a huge audience.
No, I think it's just a fun little passion project, and what happens kind of at this point, because it's been in production for years, and so it's just going to be whatever it is. But Eyes of Wakanda is going to be pretty good. I'm excited for that. I think that comes out on
really
my
quick,
birthday.
In August, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, so that's going to be fun. I'm excited to see that. They keep doing the whole from executive producer Ryan Coogler thing, which I feel like is their only marketing campaign right now after Sinners. They did the same thing for Ironheart. Not in the trailers before Sinners. They didn't even mention Ryan Coogler. But after Sinners, you could tell their entire marketing campaign completely changed. And it seemed like they're doing the same thing.
Well, Ryan
with
Coogler,
Wakanda.
though, he's also tied to the Black Panther.
Right.
No doubt.
and
No doubt. It's just it was funny to see their tone change. And then Visions is an anime, and that'll do well in itself for the people that enjoyed Visions. And hey, fingers crossed we get screenings again, because we've never actually watched Visions when it came out.
No, we've always watched it beforehand.
It's true, yeah.
So fingers crossed to keep the trend
It's not
going.
going to be the same without the watermark on it.
I know. Like I'll have to watch it not doctored. Like, come on, I don't want to see that. But I am very excited for Visions. I think that's probably my most anticipated Star Wars. It's my only Star Wars project for the rest of this year.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, I don't think we're having anything
I don't
else.
think we're having anything else this year. But no, very excited for that, for Star Wars wise. On the same level as Mandalorian and Grogu. I'm very excited for Visions. I think it'll be good.
I think we've got great Star Wars stuff happening over the next couple of years, leading into 2027, which is going to be the ultimate year for Star Wars fans. I have a feeling. I think they've got a lot planned before that. And I don't, this segment is always about making fun of horribly clickbait headlines.
And I feel like we only go to like 3 sources.
Because they're the worst.
They're the worst of the worst.
But we also, we normally don't do Screen Rant, but we've been to Screen Rant a couple of times recently. And
like
Inside the Magic, we got this covered, bounding into comics, that kind of stuff. So,
yeah.
With this. Well, just when you thought that the Force might be fading away with rumors about Disney Plus's cuts, which are not true, we're shifting gears to a new superhero saga. Superman has landed, and it's time to see if this latest film can soar or if it falls like a lead-lined box of kryptonite.
A surprise, to be sure, but a welcome one.
All right, gentlemen, the red cape is back with the gold,
with the yellow
symbol on the back. Superman has landed again. What was your immediate? I'm gonna start with you, Sam, because once we start in with Nate, we'll never get him to stop. What was your immediate gut reaction to the new movie? And let's see if we can do it. I know it's going to be hard. 1-word answers.
One word
for now. Sam, 1-word reaction.
It was 8.
It was
I'm just kidding.
It was mid.
I hope I don't say that about Fantastic Four.
Inspiring.
Nice. Samuel or Nathan, can you do it?
Hopeful, which is what you want from Superman.
Yeah, absolutely. Those were both words that I was thinking.
I was thinking either going hopeful or inspiring
or hopeful. With it, sincere.
Yeah.
Human.
Yep. Yeah. Is what I would say with that. Nate, all right. Let's let you have
let the floodgates open.
You've practically been counting down the clock.
No, I actually did have a countdown app. And so I woke up in the morning on the day we saw it. Superman's
like
here.
Christmas Day.
I know.
Did it live up to the hype? Or are you feeling more kryptonite than Super right now?
Oh, no. It exceeded the hype. It was a comic book come to life.
Yeah.
I mean, the next one that I feel like is more of a comic book come to life would be Amazing Spider-Man 2, which, hot take, I know I'm going to get a lot of flack for that, but I do feel like Amazing Spider-Man 2 feels like a comic arc in a line. I mean, you read it, you have a bunch of characters, you have the villains, you have the ending with Gwen dying, you have Spider-Man in the dumps, then you leave it to the next line or even the next author to pick it up and try to figure out what to do. with this Superman, you have the Justice Gang, you have Lex Luthor, you have the. We're okay to go into spoilers, right?
Oh yeah, just
Okay,
if you're listening to this
spoiler
right now,
alert.
we're really bad about saying spoiler alerts. You should probably just always expect spoilers from us. So.
Okay, but spoiler alert, go see the movie if you haven't, see it twice if you haven't, and then come back to this. But you start the movie with Superman defeated.
Bold choice.
But you come into this with him going to the fortress, and Krypto's there, and the Superman robots are there, and you're already in a world that's been established. And you're like, wait, I just feel like I picked up an issue of a comic book, and I'm reading the next arc, like a jumping on point. And then you go and he fights the Hammer of Bravia some more, and then you have these, you even have breaks in the movie, full black screens. I feel like,
here's the next
this
issue.
could be the next issue.
Yep.
Like, that's the ending, one where he goes into prison, black screen. We see the next day he's still in prison, picking up from there. And it's just, most of the time when I watch comic book movies, I think in my mind, I'm like, how could I see this like in a panel layout in art? And it was so easy with this movie because of how it was shot, how it was written, the pacing, just everything about it. Comic book movie come to life. And not only that, this was a Superman comic book movie come to life. Man of Steel, I'll say it again, really well done superhero movie. It is not a good Superman movie. It's not Superman, in my opinion. This was Superman. It was optimistic. It was hopeful. It was inspiring. I mean,
it was human. It was sincere.
Human.
You have bright,
everything.
joyful,
It
humor.
was warm. I mean, there's so many adjectives I could use for it, but I mean, you start the movie with him in the fortress saying, "What the hey, dude," to Krypto. And you're immediately like, okay, this is one of them good old Kansas farm boy characters. And then you
won't even say heck.
No, won't even say heck.
Golly.
Sorry, chum. Like there was so many moments where I'm just like, this is Superman. This is a Superman that gave us what Christopher Reeve was like. Christopher Reeve was ahead of his time. There's no doubt about it. His Superman was ahead of his time, ahead of the technology, ahead of even the writing for a movie that would work for Superman. But we're in the right time now. We're in the right time for Superman, right technology. You can make a Superman movie how it's supposed to be, and that is what we got this time.
You say the right time for a Superman movie, and when I got home after the screening, I was letting Chubbs out, and I was getting ready to write my quick little Letterboxd review. And I don't normally like write in my Letterboxd review, but I was like, I feel like I want to say something about this. And I was thinking about the movie, and I'm like, this movie came out at a very potent time for it to come out. Everything, it feels like, maybe it's just me and I'm online too much, which is very possible. But it feels like a lot of things nowadays is just doom and gloom on everything.
No doubt.
Even movies, to a lot of an extent, lately have been very kind of not depressing, but very serious or heavy and stuff, right? So the world just kind of in general feels kind of blah and dark.
Yeah.
This movie came out, and just like how Superman says it, you said this in your Letterboxd review, like hope is like punk rock now or whatever. And I'm like,
rock.
I was watching the movie, and my Letterboxd review, I'm like, hope is back in style. It feels like it's good, and it's okay to be hopeful again. And this movie came out at just the right time.
I'd agree
for that in the world today. We needed this bright, hopeful, happy, trusting of everyone Superman.
Kind Superman.
Yeah.
The dude that will go out of his way to save a squirrel at a kaiju attack. Like, every creature
the Superman
matters.
who wants to save the kaiju.
Yes.
That really surprised me in that movie. I mean, because I would have never thought about that. Even for a Boy Scout Superman, save the giant monster that's attacking the city? Just kill it.
Not only that, wanted to save Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that monologue at the end of who he is being human. He struggles to get up every day. He stumbles every step, but that's what makes him human, and that's his greatest strength. And one day, Lex, I hope you realize that's your greatest strength too. I mean, you could, that will be and already is a generational iconic Superman line. One that honestly, we never got from Henry Cavill. Specifically because Henry Cavill,
when you think of Henry Cavill Superman, really, what do you think about?
Destruction.
I think of the mustache.
Okay, fair. I think of him leading a fight to a town and a bunch of people dying. Not Superman. But also Henry Cavill had, I think, 40 lines of dialogue as Superman, or even I think in the entire movie. He talked a lot more in this one, thankfully. Also, did y'all notice how little Clark Kent was in this movie?
Yeah,
it felt
barely at all.
It felt a lot like the Batman with him being Batman for most of the movie and not Bruce Wayne. It feels like the same style.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about.
Go ahead. Be honest, I kind of like that because we're here for Superman.
Yeah, not Clark Kent.
Necessarily his.
In this
fake
moment, it made
ego.
sense. I do in the future want more Clark because Clark was a great. The little bit we got about the public version of Clark Kent. I said that
Daily Planet.
I sent that tweet to you guys where somebody said people need to understand there's three different versions of this character. There's Superman, there's Clark for the world, and then there's Clark for who Clark really is.
And Lois.
With it. The Clark for the world was fun.
He was
with it, and I do love the playing off of each other that he and Lois did in public,
and Jimmy too.
Well, Jimmy doesn't know.
Yeah,
we don't think. Anyway, okay. This has got like a ton of characters.
Yeah.
This movie.
Man.
We've got Superman, Lois, Jimmy, Lex, Guy Gardner, Hot Girl, Mr. Terrific, a bunch of others with this.
Metamorpho.
Anybody? Yeah, Metamorpho. Who soared in this? Who got body slammed worse than Superman with Doomsday in the comics?
Well, I mean, first off, we got to say this is how you introduce a bunch of characters. Well, not like Eternals. Let's just be honest. I cared about all the characters. I cared about all the characters. Maybe there were a few like Hawk Girl. We didn't get very much of her, so I didn't really care about her that much.
I told this to Nate last night. I think she was the weakest character.
She was, but not because I thought it was like bad acting or bad writing. We just didn't get hardly any of her.
She has a mystery around her that still needs to be.
There wasn't even necessarily mystery. She just barely had any role, which is fine. You got to pick and choose who you highlight in the movie. But I think all the other characters were either enjoyable or you really like connected to them or like, really liked them. I think Jimmy was a standout by far. I loved Jimmy Olsen in this movie. He was a ton of fun. Great acting. I don't remember.
Is he the best Jimmy Olsen we've had too? Without a doubt.
I think it's the most we've seen of a Jimmy Olsen.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I think we saw like on screen in the Snyderverse, I think we saw he was on screen for maybe 30 seconds. And he didn't have any lines.
Well, in the actor form, wasn't he in Spider-Man?
Yeah,
he was the Venom.
It was super short.
No,
that's a different guy. It was super short, and he was really weirdly muscular. Like it just didn't seem like Jimmy.
That guy.
Yeah, it didn't seem like Jimmy. But and then the one in the Reeves verse is fun. He really is, but he has like he's just a dork. And even in like Superman Returns, he's kind of just a dork in that one too. Yeah. But this one, he had his own moments. He even like kind of played people for the scoop and he grew.
He's a real reporter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is what he needed to be, and he is great. And he felt like Superman's pal, pretty much. He
felt like an equal in the newsroom to Lois and Clark,
which was cool because I never knew that Jimmy was supposed to be there on that level with them. But I liked that.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Let's talk about the message.
You
got the L's, is that what we're going to call them? Jor-El and Lara.
The House of L.
Yeah.
Bradley Cooper and some other chick.
Yeah. They basically sent a message with baby Kal-El that he was to grow up, marry a bunch of Earth women,
and
create a secret harem. Populate the Earth with it. What do you think about that twist? I'll let you start with that, Sam.
I did not see that coming because I had, to my knowledge, the only depiction of Krypton and his parents and everything that I had seen in like movies and stuff was they were good people, right? Nice people, right? Krypton was a peaceful planet for the most part, right? So it coming out that they were basically sending him on like a Viltrumite mission
Yeah.
totally came out of left field for me. I was like, oh, so the parents are bad guys now. Like, I didn't realize I was supposed to think that.
Did you think that it was potentially a lie that was fabricated?
Oh, yeah, by Lex. Of
yeah.
course. Well, I mean, it's Lex. I wouldn't put anything past him, like that one dude on the council said he wouldn't put anything past Lex. But they multiple times throughout the movie said it was real. And once Mr. Terrific was like, dude, it's legit.
Dude, like
that, I was like, okay, wow, they really, really did go there. There was a bold twist, but I liked it because of what they did at the end of the movie, the bookend to match that.
Everybody likes a good bookend.
with the new message being video of him growing up with the
yeah.
Kents.
Mom, Pa.
4 was like, yeah, he put on footage of his parents. It soothes him. We expect to see, or we saw it in the beginning. It was his Kryptonian parents. Now it's Mom and Pa Kent. So I liked the way they handled that at the end. It was a very interesting touch, and it opened up a great conversation for Pa Kent to have with Clark. And
Nate, you were explaining to me last night that this is a really not an unusual storyline within the DC comics.
It does happen sometimes. You have every writer, every universe, crisis, reset, everything handles Krypton differently. But yes, in some versions there is Krypton is like a conquering planet more than anything, and they just kind of got too full of themselves and ended up, exploding. But yes, it is common, and if they go the route of where I think they may go for a sequel to Superman with Brainiac,
which David Cornsweet confirmed that he's signed his contract.
Yes. So which is great. I'm happy to see it. And I think he's also probably going to be in Supergirl, which wouldn't surprise me. But we are probably going to see, if they bring in Brainiac, the bottle city of Condor, which is the city that Brainiac stole from Krypton before it exploded. And Condor, they are aggressive. They're really intense, violent Kryptonians, more of a conquering race of Kryptonians. So when they show up with Brainiac and then Kal-El finds out about them, Clark finds out about them, and then he figures out how to let them out, it causes issues on Earth, let's just say, because their mission is still find a new planet, repopulate, take over. And so Clark has to...
Invincible War.
Exactly. Kinda. No. But...
So I want to go down this path for just a few minutes. And you have no idea where I'm going to go, because I don't think that we've had any conversations about this at all, even Nate, you and I. But we have talked before, kind of on our own conversations, about how Superman, there's this Christologically centered Superman, this Jesus-like metaphor Superman version. And then I always forget their names. Who were the original creators of Superman?
Joe Shuster and Jerry Siegel.
That's it. Okay. Shuster and Siegel. When they created Superman, they've lots of articles, lots of interviews stated they had Moses in mind, right? So Moses is sent on a boat, a raft down a river. He's there to deliver the people and that kind of thing. It's really Donner's Superman, the original Reeve Superman, that stuff that began this shift towards a Christologically centered.
Yeah, and then Snyder fully
Snyder went all the way into it. So what that has done is 50 years basically of this version of Superman, where Superman is seen as a metaphor for Christ. Which, if that's your version of Superman and that's all you're understand,
be disappointed here.
This one can bother you if you think about
no doubt
that.
About it.
Because he's sent by these super powerful beings to come to this planet, and they're not good. They're sending him to conquer. And his earthly parents are teaching him to be good, which, I mean, you could find that being very kind of hard to address with that. What do you think? Do you think people are going to have some hard time from that perspective? Maybe in more conservative circles, more, there's this woke conversation that's stupid because it doesn't make any sense. But from a storytelling perspective, I could see where some people would struggle with that.
Yeah, I could see where people would
It
come from
bothered
for that.
me during the movie. It
Really?
bothered me, not from taking me out, I don't like this movie, but I'm like, I don't know how I feel about this version of the elf family and the reason they sent. It bothers me that that's where they're at in this story.
See, for me, I always, I saw the Christ-like allegory with him and everything, right? I could see the parallels, but I never saw him like as a representation of Christ, if that makes sense, right? So with this movie happening and that twist of his parents being, evil, I never thought of it as reflecting poorly on like a representation of Christ, because first off, I didn't think this one he wasn't trying to play himself like an all-powerful, God-like being like Cavill, Superman, right? Yeah. He was a very down-to-earth kind of guy, right? So that comparison already kind of broke down for me early on in the movie. So when that reveal happened, it didn't jar me as much. But I think for me, like I said, I never saw him as a representation of Christ. So things like that never really it didn't seem to connect. I was trying to. I'm not sure if that made sense, but
yeah, I get it. I think that the Christ-like allegory it was drilled into people's brains with Man of Steel, and the Snyder version of Superman, because let's just be honest, it kind of feels like that Superman wants people to worship him. I mean, there are even some shots that feel like that's the purpose, which isn't Superman. Because in this movie, we see he just wants to be there to help. Mm-hmm. And he would love if people would accept him as just a regular dude that can just do cool things.
He wants to be more like a firefighter almost.
Pretty much. He just protect and serve kind of thing. That's his purpose. And that's what he's there to do. And that's what he believed the elves were sending him there to do, because he only heard the first part of a message and do good. So that's what he lived his life doing. And then, that kind of all fell apart. And you're wondering, let's just be honest, if that happened to Henry Cavill's Superman, if he went on the same track, but it was written by Zack Snyder, we probably would have seen Henry Cavill's Superman go down a really dark path, not knowing what to do. But in this one, it helped him understand that his humanity, the people who actually cared about him, who actually raised him, were the ones that were the most important to him, the ones who actually loved him, and the ones that raised him to be a good man, to be Superman, to be Clark Kent, and that's who he is.
He may have come from Krypton, but that's not his home.
It's not his family.
Yeah.
Nate, what did you think about the relationship between Clark and the true Clark and Lois in this movie, and Superman Lois?
It was great. They're early.
But they had chemistry.
They did.
Which was so nice.
And Lois can act. But we really did see a lot of great moments between them. And I loved how Lois was so not distant, but just concerned. She's protective.
She's reserved.
She's always reserved and always worried that somebody's using her, or B, just not telling her the truth fully. And that's hard for Clark, because Clark is always uplifting. And
I do love there's a yin and yang element to the two of them.
Very much so. And I loved how just out of the blue and just completely ready Clark was to say, "Love you, Lois," and she was taken aback. But
said she was getting ready to break up with him in that moment.
And then he said, should have said that a long time ago. And it was just
that caught me off guard too, but I liked it. It showed the character.
Clark really does love Lois, and you can tell Lois loves him too, but she's worried about what will
it's happen. Not going to work. It's
and
there's
you can tell
such a cynical
and you
nature
can tell
to her.
Clark is I'm going to make it work. I'm going to fight to make it work. And it was really a great relationship, and Lois was just great in the movie. She didn't say "I love you" with her words till the end, but she did everything in her power to get Clark back.
She tried to sacrifice. She put her life at risk.
She put her life on line to do it, and did crazy things to help Clark. And so
That's good.
that's Lois.
The star of the entire film
Crypto.
is Crypto.
Crypto.
With this.
Love Crypto.
Why do you think Crypto is such a fresh element within this movie? And are we getting ready to start a petition to get a Crypto series on?
I'm sure that there's going to be one at some point, and I know we'll be getting more Crypto in the Supergirl movie, which will be great. But I think it's just Crypto was a fresh take because everybody likes to see a flying dog. But he was fun. It was a loving character, breath of fresh air, and it really just felt fantastical and ready and ripe for a superhero movie. And it's great to finally see like an actual Crypto on the screen because it's just like, it's him. Like he's there and it's right and it feels good. And Clark's relationship with him was so good because you could tell Clark is like, I don't really like this dog, but I said I was going to protect him, and it's a dog. And he didn't do anything. So he goes above and beyond to try to save him. And man, when he was talking with Lois and she's like, it's just a dog. And he's like, yeah, but he's alone. And he's like, and I can't let anything happen to him. And I was like, as Superman, like, I feel like I said that in my brain like 400 times throughout this movie, but it really truly did just get it.
What'd you think? You're the new dog daddy.
Mm-hmm.
What'd you think about Crypto?
Oh man, there were a lot of moments where I was like, I get it. I get it. No, Crypto was fun. I think my only issue with him is I didn't realize this going into the movie, but I was hoping there would be like a live action counterpart for Crypto. I didn't realize he was going to be CGI the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. No.
Small complaint. I mean, really, it's nothing.
Did you guys hear about the test screenings and what happened?
Yeah, Ultraman,
where the Ultraman punched him
or something.
People got pissed. And
I got pissed when the engineer like
covered his head. Oh heck no!
I was like, she dies first. She's gone.
I was literally like, I'm like, Superman, you're okay. You can do it to her.
Yeah. No, but it was fun. I liked Crypto. He was the comedic relief that was needed in a lot of moments. Mm-hmm. But it was a good addition. Yeah, I liked it.
I'll start with you, Sam. From your perspective, what's the emotional heart of this movie?
What do you mean?
Just like where I mean, what's the core like emotional, central piece of this that makes this movie work? Kind of resonates with you.
What drives the emotion in the movie?
Yeah. It's Clark's heart. It's his heart. I mean, that's. Superman always leads with his heart first, with everything, or at least he should. That's how Superman was supposed to act. And there were just moment after moment after moment in that movie that showed that that's what this Superman does. Is he cares about everyone and everything. Like Nate said, he saved a squirrel of all things from the kaiju, right? It was so nice to see a Superman who just cares about everyone and everything and does whatever he can to help people. I loved it.
Yeah, it was great. I think it was his heart. It was his humanity. It's something you really need to dial into when you're talking about Superman. Even though he's an alien, he's the most human out of anybody. And he's the definition of what a human should be. Kindness, loving, caring, will go out of his way to do anything for anybody because everyone's life is more important than his own. Mm-hmm. And that's how he lives. And that's his heart. And so they nailed it. I mean, they did a great job. I mean, as soon as Clark got slightly well enough after being in a kryptonite cell for a day, he went to save that guy's kid, and then he got out of it, and has kryptonite poisoning, and he's like, "We gotta go back and save everybody else."
He barely stand up.
Like his mind was always on how can I help everyone else, even if they don't deserve it. How can I help them? So, and then at the end, we see that Clark wrote an article about the falafel guy that Lex killed, and he said the real hero of Metropolis. Like, never about him. It's always about everyone else, and that's Superman right there.
Setting aside the movie itself, how effectively do you think that this sets the stage for the future of this DCU? Are we, is it bright? Do we need to see what's going to happen more before we move forward? What?
I mean, I appreciated how there weren't really many storyline setup hooks in the movie. Like no cliffhangers, no post-credit scenes that
Post-credit
tease
scenes, yeah.
something, right? I appreciated that. I think it did what it needed to do in that it introduced us some central characters, a big central character, obviously, with Superman. But it gave you a feel for the world that you're about to be dropped into. And that's what this movie needed to do. It gave you an idea of what the tone was going to be and the setting. And it did that flawlessly. So.
Yeah, it did. I think it set up the universe very well because it just feels like you're reading a comic book series and you're going to see what comes up next. And I know that every project's going to be tonally different, like James Gunn said, but that's the same way it is with the comics. And so keep giving me what you're going to give me. I know Lanterns is going to be a gritty, down-to-earth, true detective style series.
I'm okay with that.
I know that Peacemaker is going to be its, raunchy,
Peacemaker.
violent MA funny show, and Starfire is going to be its own kids animated introduction to the Teen Titans. Like, you're going to get what you need from everything, and the universe is going to be for everybody, which is important. And you have to think there are going to be kids that are going to be watching Superman that are going to grow up with this franchise, like we grew up after watching Iron Man with the MCU franchise. So you have to think about this may not be exactly for me. This is for the people that will grow up with the franchise, and we get to see that happen. You're going to have a lot of kids going to see this movie, as it should be. And you're going to have a lot of kids that have Superman become their favorite character, like Iron Man became yours.
I know a guy at work who he took the day off because his daughter, I think she's like 8 or something, wanted to go see Superman. So he took the day and he's going to see Superman with his daughter. I love that.
It's interesting how you guys are talking about that, and Nate, you specifically talking about this is going to be the next generation's, stories, and it needs to be for them. That's the experience I have had with Star Wars because of the sequel trilogy and watching it with you guys is radically different from that because of your perspective, because of me having you in my life, watching it with you, realizing this is your Star Wars. That changed everything in the way that I viewed it with that. And we've been talking about this, the soaring highs of the Superman relaunch with it. Meanwhile, we have a Star Wars that seems like it's sort of drifting right now. It's not really thriving. We don't really know where it's going with it. Is it because, and let's talk about this, we'll go next, is it stuck in sort of this Sarlacc pit of nostalgia?
You've taken your first step into a larger world.
All right, I said this in the transition a minute ago, but I'm going to ask you: do you guys think that Star Wars is thriving, just surviving, kind of not on the decline? Be honest. What do you guys think about Star Wars right now?
I think it's just drifting. I mean, it's there, and I'll watch the stuff, but let's just be honest. It's not a franchise that's pretty much in the front of center of many people's minds right now. There's not much to be excited for. Like we mentioned, Visions is the only thing coming out the rest of this year, which is great. I'm super excited for it, but let's be honest, the general audience is not going to tune into season 3 of Star Wars Visions.
Yeah, but we had Andor. We had Skeleton Crew. Those were both...
like we said earlier, Star Wars thrives in the theaters.
Yeah. And so the fact that it's not in theaters is a struggle. And it would be great if they would do some Star Wars re-releases, like the 20th anniversary of Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, that was huge,
highest grossing
too.
re-release of all time, because Star Wars lives in the theaters, and it can't live if it's not in the theater.
Yeah, I feel like it's drifting right now. I mean, I can't speak for the entirety, but for me, it's hard. It's hard for me to really care about Star Wars right now. I mean, I was talking with my buddy who bought the Star Wars cooler, right? He's like really into it right now. He's collecting Black Series figures and stuff. He's got a bunch of pre-orders, right? And I love it. I think it's cool. But we were talking about it, and I was like, yeah, I just haven't really been like that, like plugged into Star Wars, right? Like I've been watching stuff, obviously, but I haven't like really consumed a lot of Star Wars content outside of new stuff, right? And he's like, that's surprising coming from you. I'm like, yeah, but there just hasn't been that much to really keep me excited about Star Wars, right? Like there's nothing to look forward to. Part of the fun, I think, of Star Wars, at least it was for me, was a movie release coming up, right? And then it was the eventized nature of that.
Yeah, 100%.
Leading up to it, theorizing. We did so much of that before every movie, right? the online chatter, the Star Wars celebrations, or any con where everybody was,
which we haven't had one in the U.S. since 2022.
True.
Right?
But, everybody's there and there's this buzz in the air about the new Star Wars movie. What's it going to be like, right? We don't have that.
Trailer releases.
Yeah, we don't have that. I mean, maybe you could have that a little bit for a show, but it's just, how are you going to experience the show? Most likely it's at home with your family, maybe, right? And that's nothing wrong with that. But I was actually watching a video earlier today, and it was about music or something, but this guy described a psychological phenomenon. I think it was called collective effervescence.
Okay.
It's why things feel different when you're in a crowd. It's just like he's like, you go to a concert, and right, you've probably heard these songs hundreds of times before, but when you're with a bunch of people and you're all singing the song together, it's going to have a totally different impact on you. It's the same with movies. It's why to this day, for me, my favorite movie going experience was Endgame, because the crowd was
Avengers assembled,
electric.
going crazy. Yeah.
Oh, every big moment, right? It was, you could feel this buzz in the air, and that was fun, right? Star Wars needs that to survive, and you can't.
Well, and they're even tapping into that with that Coca-Cola commercial.
Yep.
They literally are
gosh.
trying to say this is what Star Wars is all about. Going to a movie theater with a bunch of super crazy nerds,
Dressed up,
dressed out,
bringing toys.
The video the movie breaks, and everybody loses their mind. Then they start having lightsaber battles in the middle of the theater,
as Star Wars fans would do.
Yes, absolutely,
exactly. And I'm like that. It almost. I liked the commercial. I thought it was fun, but it almost,
it's almost
a way felt like
saddened.
a punch in the face, a punch in the gut. Like,
we haven't
I
had
missed that.
Yeah.
Like, it hurt.
It's a reason we're willing to get on a flight and fly all the way to San Francisco to be with 501st Rebels, Saber Guild or whatever, droid builders, Mando Mercs in the Lucasfilm Theater to experience something we've already seen.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
100%.
Because that's what for us Star Wars is.
Also, the fact that we got to do it at Lucasfilm.
Well, no, but at the same time, it's a reason Revenge of the Sith. Going back to the theaters and watching that. It's a reason why a year before that, it was The Phantom Menace.
Yes.
And everybody going and seeing that with it. So this conversation was inspired by a video I saw. I mentioned it earlier. Heavy spoilers. Paul did a video on the death spiral of nostalgia bait. Do you think that Star Wars, and again, this ties back into that commercial that we talked about earlier, do you think Star Wars is too reliant on nostalgia right now? What's the line between loving the past or just being too reliant on it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's tough. I was just saying in the break, but then one of the things that was nice about Superman is there was virtually no nostalgia to it. They used the classic Superman theme, and maybe that could be counted as a little bit of nostalgia, right? But other than that, it was a fresh take on everything, right? You didn't see anything familiar. Maybe Peacemaker, but I don't think many people have nostalgia for Peacemaker.
Not yet,
it was literally like a half a second.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was a good, fresh movie without relying on nostalgia bait. So it can be done, right? Like, it can be done. And this is, maybe it's got a benefit for being a new universe, a complete reset, you know? But I think Star Wars can do that. I think they're trying to go that route with the Mandalorian and Grogu movie and everything like that, right? But they've really got to either, how do I want to put it? They need to pick a direction they're going to go. Are they going to either fully rely on nostalgia going forward, which I don't think is the move because that's going to run out eventually, or just own up and go this fresh route? I mean, Ahsoka is good. We like it. A lot of it's Rebels nostalgia in a way. We're excited to see the continuation of that story, of course, but you know, a lot of it is we have this positive memories with these characters, right?
Yeah.
So maybe that's why we have such a positive response to that show. And I know not everyone is as positive towards that show as we are, but I mean, we were Rebels guys, so of course we're going to. But I think I think Star Wars needs to find a new place to go, whether that's a time period, whether that's a complete different corner of the galaxy with new people. I think Star Wars has got to find a way to start over with new characters, not rely and not have any reliance on any characters we're familiar with showing up. Maybe you can name drop, depending on the time period, like Luke Skywalker, because that some event happened in the galaxy that references it. That's fine. But I don't want to see anything show up, because then it just kind of feels like they threw that in there to just kind of get you excited because you like the character.
Yeah.
Nate, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think that nostalgia, it carries a little bit of Star Wars, but I think that that's just going to happen with the new generation, with the old generation. The old generation is going to want the nostalgia, and they're going to have nostalgia for Star Wars no matter what, because that's what they grew up with. I think the new generation needs to I think they need to continue to rely on the fresh stories. Because the older generation will always have the nostalgia. The new generation needs to see something that they can get that nostalgia with. If they don't have that, then they're not going to connect to it. I have nostalgia of going to see Force Awakens the first time. That's how I connected with it. Or Rebels. That's how I got into Star Wars. They need to continue to let the new generation, the new fans, get into it in their own way. And I know that a lot of people did, seeing The Mandalorian, and that's how they got into Star Wars. And I know that even some people have gotten into Star Wars more with Andor, a different way, but it's happened. And so they need to focus on the fresh takes, the fresh stories. And heck, I know some people that were that are in anime, not into Star Wars, watch Visions and then got into Star Wars. So Visions itself is a fresh take that people have gotten into. So it needs to rely on the new stories a lot more.
As we think about Rise of Skywalker at episode 9, I do believe, and I've said this for several years now, that the Rise of Skywalker was an overreaction to a perfect storm of things that happened going before even The Last Jedi came out. You had 2016 December, Rogue One's barely in theaters, just a day or two into theaters, Carrie Fisher dies. And she was going to be a central focus of the future in episode 9 with that. So they've got to figure out what to do with her. They're in this process. Do we use old footage? Do we use CGI? What do we do with her? And Colin Trevorrow is slated to, at that point in this moment, to direct episode 9, to write and direct episode 9, like JJ did with Force Awakens, like Ryan did with The Last Jedi. Colin Trevorrow was going to write and direct this and take over the story where Ryan left it. And they had to figure out, what does that look like with Carrie? And I think they struggled with that. I think that he struggled with that. And he came up with some, if you guys have, checked out Duel of the Fates.
I've seen it.
It looks so good.
He went pretty radical in some ideas. He went really radical with it. And Disney got a little bit nervous, I have a feeling.
And wasn't there
They got nervous because of the Book of Henry.
And the Book of Henry underperformed.
It did.
Yeah.
It was not well received, critic-wise, fan-wise, box office-wise. So they're scared about Carrie's passing. They're scared now about the direction that Colin Trevorrow puts them in with the script. Then you have Book of Henry failing, and they pulled him. I think that was an overreaction in that moment with it. And then comes The Last Jedi, right? And I really was worried coming into Superman that Last Jedi, or the Superman was going to get the Last Jedi reaction.
Yeah.
Fan critics were like 85, 86, 87%. And I was really worried that we were going to see sort of this backlash against that movie. Last Jedi, we love it.
Right.
But controversial is not even the word to use with this. Solo comes out. That is a mistake of Disney's own making, not the film. It was a great film, but you got to remember what happened before even that version of the film came out. Lord and Miller were shooting the film. It was almost completely shot It was like 70% shot, and they didn't like what they were doing with it, so they let them go. They pulled them, bring in Ron Howard. He comes in, basically reshoots the entire movie with a completely different actor with a new to play the villain. Dryden Voss wasn't even played by Paul Bettany at that point. And then they make this bonehead move to do two things. Release it in a May Memorial Day time slot, which is a terrible time for movies because it was a nostalgia play. That's the weekend the original Star Wars started, the original trilogy's movies came out. And they didn't market the movie at all. It was Denny's was the most marketed.
That's all I can remember.
Denny's and a Super Bowl ad was what they did to market that movie with it. And it underperformed by those days' standards. Today, it would be considered a blockbuster. It was over 100 million domestic. At that time, it was considered a failure as a Star Wars movie with it. All of those things together made them go back to JJ. And JJ ran home to his own storylines that he had in his head, and let's bring in Palpatine, and let's go home with all of this other stuff. And it never landed with that. Now, during that period of time, we talked about it earlier, we had the idea of what if they released the opening crawl of episode 9 was the opening words, General Leia Organa is dead. And instead of the Star Wars theme playing, it's Leia's theme playing as a way to honor her.
Yeah.
But, and that's the way we always thought about it. Like it's a way to honor her. But have you thought through this, what the story could have been and how that could have rebooted the future of the saga?
Yeah.
Because here's what you have happening. The Resistance is
in shambles.
You immediately open up the film with her funeral. That allows all of fandom to grieve Leia, to mourn that Carrie's passing as a group, collectively, like we've been talking
in
about.
The theater together.
In the theater. Grieve her in this moment. And you have a devastated Rey and Finn and Poe and Rose and all of these others trying to figure out what to do with the Resistance. And then what if you then cut to Kylo Ren, who has learned of his mother's passing? Remember, he refuses to kill her in The Last Jedi. He's already fracturing in The Last Jedi.
Right.
With this. And what if in that moment, the emotional devastation of that is he's cut off from the Force. It causes him to be cut off from the Force, but he's hiding it.
Right.
From Hux and the Knights of Ren and all of this. He's hiding all of that. And that's where the story then moves forward. He's trying to lead the First Order, pretending to be this Sith acolyte lord, whatever. And he's failing at doing that. The Resistance is trying to move forward. The story is wide open for the future. You don't have to bring in, what is this weird Force ghost Han Solo? You don't have to bring in CGI Leia. You don't have to try to make the Luke thing come back in with it. Luke's ending in The Last Jedi was perfect. Mark Hamill in the last month gave an interview where he said the ending of The Last Jedi was the perfect ending for Luke.
Yeah.
Whoa. I thought he hated The Last Jedi.
Well, that's what people want you to think.
No,
but anyway,
I could have sworn it.
So what would you think? I mean, do you think all of that is set up for the question? And it shouldn't be a long conversation from this point forward. If they would have had the balls, I guess.
The
chutzpah,
the cojones,
to go forward with that risky of a move. Do you feel like the future of the Star Wars franchise would have more opportunities in front of it right now?
Yeah, 100%. I think we would have been in a position where they would be okay taking more risks. Now, it feels like right now, I mean, Andor was a risk. It paid off. Do more of that.
Yep.
We need more risks. It doesn't have to be dark and gritty and not for kids. Just more risks in general. Skeleton Crew, kind of another risk.
Well, Skeleton Crew is the most self-contained Star Wars story in the entire Disney era.
And it was so good.
No nostalgia.
No, there's a lot of nostalgia. There's
nostalgia for the time.
No. There's nostalgia for your childhood, but there's no Star Wars nostalgia. You're not bringing in
Luke's
characters and places and
we would have been in a position where they're okay with taking more risks, and I think Disney got scared. And we're seeing the same issues with Marvel right now.
Yep.
They may have taken a couple risks. They were stupid risks, yes. And they didn't pay off, so they're like,
Eternals was a risk.
it was just not a well done one though. But they just kind of tried to play it safe-ish since then, and it's just been weird and not right. And I'm going to be honest, Ironheart was another risk if you've seen the show, and I won't be spoiling it on here because one of the hosts on the show has not actually seen it. But the final episode is the biggest risk I've seen Marvel take in a long time.
I don't know if they've taken a risk bigger.
And it paid off in spades. Like, very
I have
well
not
done.
sat up and rewound a section
No, like
of,
you lock
of
in.
Marvel
Yeah.
in years.
And
until
so
that.
and that risk paid off, and a lot of people liked that risk. Marvel, I think, is now figuring that out. And let's just be honest, Superman was a risk too. I mean, we talk about it. It was a huge gamble. It either works and the DCU works, or it fails and the DC's done.
Dead on arrival.
Sam, do you think that the franchise would have more hope in front of it right now had they been willing to take those risks instead of running back to the nostalgia bait?
I do. I think.
I mean, no more somehow Palpatine returned.
Yeah, I think part of the reason why it feels like Star Wars doesn't have a way forward, and just why everything feels weird with Star Wars right now, especially in the movie side of things, is it wasn't received that great. I mean, we've talked about it, and I'm not going to go into details again, right? But Disney's scared about another potential like that, right? Fans are nervous because they don't want to have to go through that again, right? So I think had the movie have been, this is going to sound blunt, better, I guess is a way to put it, the future for Star Wars would have been more hopeful. Of course, that's kind of how you say, it's kind of a cheap answer. Yeah, if it did well, everything would be better. Of course, that's how movies work, right? But I mean, to say that, yes, I think potentially not relying on nostalgia would have made for a better movie and thus a more hopeful future. Yeah.
Okay. Final thoughts. What was this a missed opportunity? Could the Rise of Skywalker Episode 9 been something much more special as an individual film, not just the future of the Star Wars universe franchise, but that film, could it have been much more special had it taken a really daring, radical, risky path? Or are we just Monday morning quarterbacking this thing?
I mean, it's, hindsight 2020. It's easy for us to talk about this, right? Of course, we had headcanon going into it,
sure, and
all of that. But I think I have said since the movie came out, the whole movie for me was just missed opportunities, and Field of That Fire was when I found out about the Duel of the Fates, Colin Trevorrow concept arts and story art. I was like, oh, that's what we.
Well, he's released the script.
Yeah, I'm like, that's what we missed out on. That didn't help because I was like, that would have been so good.
Yeah.
So
it does come down to the fact that Rise of Skywalker, and I know this was a lot of people's complaints, it just felt like a greatest hits kind of thing of Star Wars. And it felt like a Avengers Endgame for Star Wars. There was nothing original about it, and that was what people had issues with, and it's understandable that they had issues with that. And so yes, take the risks. At least you can say you went down swinging instead of playing it safe and then you just failed.
Yeah. We'll have to see what happens in the future. I mean, we've got maybe the blessing in disguise of writer strikes, COVID, canceled projects is space.
Yeah.
7+ years, or it'll be 7 years since Rise of Skywalker, when The Mandalorian and Grogu hits theaters. It'll be set on 6.5 years. Maybe that space will allow for a new reset going forward with it.
Yeah.
Anything else you guys want to talk about?
Anything else?
So James Gunn has said that he's reportedly considering a Mr. Terrific and Jimmy Olsen spinoffs series.
Jimmy Olsen too.
Yeah, so
I'll
not
be there for
together,
both.
but just like separate spinoff series. So Jimmy
Yeah.
Olsen has his own series, Mr. Terrific.
love
Probably Jimmy Olsen would be Superman's
It's
best
Jimmy
pal.
Olsen trying to get away from his stalker
Yeah. Mhm.
the entire time with the shrimp cocktail toes.
Yeah.
or something.
Mutant toes.
Mutant
toes.
toes. Yeah.
Yeah. Sam.
Nate and I are going back to Halloween Horror Nights in Universal.
Yeah.
In October. We got our
Look forward to the
what's-
Fallout.
Yeah, I'm
Is
looking
Fallout
really
the
looking
one you're
forward
most
to
excited
Fallout.
about?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Man, yeah, I love that. We actually just rewatched the show.
Yeah.
it was good. It's
a good
no,
Mhm.
so if you're going to be there, was it October 11th?
I
Is
think
that
that's the day we're going.
Reach out.
Godspeed, try and find us, but we'll be there.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I think for me, the thing that's most exciting right now is what's happening in this community through this podcast. We've done a private opening of a Facebook group specifically for Star Wars dads. And the whole goal was to keep it small in the early days and really foster great relationships. And we've got people like we've already seen, this is one of the coolest moments, is somebody made an introduction of themselves. They live in the UK. They made an introduction of themselves. And then about 4 days later, a new person joined the group, made an intro of themselves, and they live 2 streets from each other.
Oh, that's so cool.
And they're going to start getting together and hanging out with their family.
They didn't even know
kids.
each other?
They'd ever met each other.
That's
didn't know
crazy.
each other. That kind of thing. Both Star Wars fans, Star Wars dads, same age kids, and that kind of
Small
thing. They're
world.
going to be hanging out. And that's
cool.
happening in pockets right now where people are already talking about meetups where they're going to the same cons and
That's
hanging
so
out
cool.
together. And that's what this is all about. So we're going to have more information coming out about that over the next few months. But if you're interested, just reach out to me on social media. I'll extend an invitation to you if you want to be a part of it. We'd love to do that. That's going to do it.
Yeah.
It was a good conversation, gentlemen.
Yeah, it was
I
good
love
stuff.
doing this. I think that doing it once a month makes me appreciate it even more when
Yeah.
I get a chance to do it with you guys. If you like what you hear tonight, follow us on socials at Tatooine Sons, SONS. You'll find us. Share this with your other Star Wars nerd friends, dads especially. We'd love for you to check that out. Next week we've got another interview. This one was a train wreck. It's going to be a lot of fun. I was interviewing a dad and their son that started a podcast because they were inspired by a little show called Tatooine Sons. And it was a lot of fun to talk with them. So that'll be coming out next week. I think that's going to do it for this week. Anything else you guys want to say?
May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you, always.
Thank you for listening to Tatooine Sons, a Star Wars podcast. Please subscribe and follow Tatooine Sons on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or your favorite podcast app. Tatooine Sons regularly publishes thoughtful articles intended to provoke conversation about the larger themes in Star Wars. Go to TatooineSons.com to explore further. And may the Force be with you, always.
This podcast, website, and social media accounts are not endorsed by the Walt Disney Company or Lucasfilm Limited and is intended for entertainment purposes only. Star Wars, all names and sounds, and any other Star Wars-related items and properties are trademarks of Lucasfilm Limited and its affiliates. All original content of this podcast and website is the intellectual property of Tatooine Sons unless otherwise indicated.